So over the past like 3 to 4 weeks, there's been a lot of news, and I wouldn't want to call it speculation because there's like a wide array of coverage from a lot of major platforms about the possibility of Fed pivoting and interest rates potentially adjusting downwards in 2024.
We're meeting a lot of clients or buyers who dare not to sell when they're coming to view, because they don't know that if they sell, are they able to make the next step to buy? So I think everyone is trapped in this kind of situation because there's a lot of uncertainty.
In the overall market, we want to understand that bigger picture-wise is all assets are inflated. Bad assets are inflated. Good assets are even more inflated, right? Because we are now a debt-driven economy.
Yeah.
And this is something that there's no solution to.
Actually, that time I was just sharing with our team, right? Like, if you look at the effects, I mean, sometimes like we just always look at property prices like going up year after year. We might think that it's like a very normal kind of thing. We'll say that asset prices are inflated or inflation drives all this growth, or because there's a new launch, that's why our PSF go up, or because of QE and things like that. But actually, if you look at just a very simplified point of view, assuming, let's say, I just put like 2% here. Okay, so this person A, this person B. So imagine both persons are qualified to buy a property and both persons have $300,000 in the bank. And I was taking a real life example of one of our teammates who bought a property probably about 8 years ago at about 800,000. Now the valuation of the property is about 1.4 million. There's a huge two-bedder, right, in the OCR district. Imagine this person didn't take action and leave this money in the bank. So it's cash in the bank. This person took action, depleted his amount to zero, and of course, put this into a real estate that is about 800,000, example. Okay, of course, maybe left about 50K or 100K inside his bank. So I think what's the fundamental difference is that we thought that prices just sort of like appreciated to 1.4 mil over 8 years. Then we attribute it to inflation. But actually, on the background, there's two things as mentioned. One, fractional reserve banking. Number two, QE, increasing our money supply. Now, fractional reserve banking basically is a monetary system that works in the whole world. It gives the ultimate power to central banks in each country. And that's in correlation to the banking power. So, for example, banks have this internal thing called multiplier, meaning the amount of deposit. Let's say now if I collect $1 million deposit, but I'm authorized to have a multiplier amount of, example, 5x, just for example, and I'm authorized to so-called loan out $5 million. So, without having a pure $5 million in my bank deposit books. So technically speaking, the moment I do that, I'm increasing the money supply by $4 million. The person without participating in this thing, in accumulating good debt, technically they are being so-called like deflated. Because the 300,000 8 years later, you technically have weaker money on your hands. And if you look at this, actually this is like sometimes very hard to fathom, because when I ask our teammates the question, what has this owner did to his 99-year condominium to add value to the property that caused it to improve to 1.4 million? Technically nothing, right?
Nothing.
I mean, did the condo owner go out and garden, wash, I mean like 他有没有去帮我洗墙壁？没有 right? Or did they help to like improve the estate? Never, right? Yeah. They just own the property. And technically they are sitting on like a $600,000 appreciation. Okay. And of course, the second thing that I asked the team was this. You see, if let's say you buy a unit in a condominium that has like maybe 300 units. The funny thing is like this. There's 300 owners, but the moment one owner had a record transaction price of their unit that raises their PSF up by maybe $200, right? The rest of the 299 owners benefit immediately. So this 299 owners' wealth instantaneously improved. So when you sometimes look at this, is very strange. It's a little bit hard to fathom. Sebastian, what do you think of this?
I mean, it just shows to you the power of the real estate market, right? That you don't have to do anything, but your value still goes up. I mean, you have to be in the market in order to enjoy this benefit. But of course, all this comes with the ability to invest in it in the first place. Yeah.
What do you think, Alexa? Sometimes when you look at this,
This is my life regret, everyone. So don't follow my example. No, I mean, I'll just be open.
Elaborate.
No, I mean.
how old are you now, by the way?
No, I mean, you need to understand. Can we not ask about the age?
speak
Thank
like
you
an
very
old
much.
person. No, I just asked because you are speaking like as if
So
you're
I'm
super
going to
old.
be very real. Previously I was not interested in investment, property, anything. I just do my job in teaching, very happy, enjoy my life day to day. I have lots of cash accumulated sitting there. But never once did I think about buying property. And of course, seeing how property has appreciated over the years, and I think like you said that teammate of us who bought that 2-bedder and how it appreciated, I was thinking it could have been me. But instead, my
So last time
money
you could actually afford a private property.
correct.
After your years of
But
teaching.
during that time, I didn't educate myself. I didn't educate myself on what's leveraging, on how I could borrow loan from the bank. I was completely clueless, not interested. And of course, when I see how much my money value has depreciated over the years, and come on, the interest that banks are offering is a joke lah. I think what I got from a 12-year-old student as on $1,000, the interest is more than what I get now. So but when I think about this situation, I feel that having the ability to invest is one thing. Being empowered with the knowledge to invest correctly is the other important factor. Because just because you have the ability and the money to invest, you don't want to blindly put your money also in a property that doesn't work for you. But more importantly, you do need to take the move. Don't wait until like me so old already, then you regret. Okay, if you are young, you got the ability, you got the knowledge.
What is your age? What is your age?
Don't ask lah. Aiyo,
No, you know, we have no
nah.
context.
On the wrong side of the 30s lah, okay? Yeah, and I think my biggest regret was like during my 20s, all that cash that I was earning was just sitting in my
Or
bank.
went to
lor.
Korea, right?
No lah, it was just sitting in my bank, like really sitting in
Boy
my
band, boy
bank.
band.
No, I'm not a
Who is your
fan.
favorite K-pop
Don't
idol?
ask, okay. It's not very invasive. Don't ask. I'm very
Chasing
shy.
concerts
Very
after
shy.
concerts.
No. But I'm very saving one. I very 省钱 one. I'm very thrifty. I don't anyhow spend money.
Okay.
I was just very good at saving because it came from my parents' 时代, always save for a rainy day.
Okay.
So you think that saving is the best way to go.
Mm.
And I think my parents in general may be a little bit risk averse also. So even if they were to invest, it's that kind of portfolio where you just put your money, close your eyes and don't think about it for the next 30 years. And I guess I'm more fortunate in the sense that growing up, I had a comfortable home environment. So I think generally when you have that as well, you don't have that mentality that, oh, I need to find a way to invest, to make money, to flip. Which, good or bad thing lah. But I wish in hindsight, like,
You have joined PLB earlier.
you all haven't started yet, but at least to educate myself or be interested. Because at that point of time, having that kind of savings in my bank, I was in a younger age. I was in a good position to make the move, but I didn't. Yeah, correct.
It's okay, still not too late.
So that's my life.
It's about
regret.
moving forward lah. Don't worry, Alexa. Not as in like
Forward Singapore.
No, I mean, it's about moving forward. But of course, when so many years have passed, and then when I see the younger generation being able to take the move, because some of them, they empower themselves with the knowledge, and I look at that and think, I wish that could have been me.
But you're still young. You're still young.
Yeah.
you're still young.
Oh, and because why I have that regret, right? So I'm single. So single, right, we don't have that BTO, that first pot of gold. So I think that's even more important because as a single, you can still go into private property. I think that's a very important thing because a lot of young couples, maybe with 2 income and then you get married, you still can apply for a BTO and then MOP and get your first pot of gold. But
That time you didn't know.
the time I know, but I no boyfriend, how to?
No, as in like you also didn't talk about like maybe getting a 1 or 2 bedder.
Never think about
Because
it
the
at all.
traditional mindset is to start with HDB ma.
No. The traditional mindset is I'll stay with my parents lah.
Okay.
Because I have no motivation. It's a free place for me to stay. I don't have to pay rental. Why do I want to spend my mortgage on paying for a house that I won't live in? I think it's all that. But it never occurred to me that there
You
could
rent
be.
it out.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
The price will appreciate.
Correct. Yeah.
Or you can stay in 1 room, rent out the other 2 rooms.
Correct. None of this, occurred to me at all at that point of time. Yeah.
I shared about my JC teacher story before. I do remember my JC teacher story.
Sort of. Share again with our audience. Yeah.
So like what happened was when I started out in
Guy or
property
girl?
for like a couple of years already.
Lady or guy?
Guy lah.
Oh. No,
Why-
just
why-
have
why?
a context for the audience.
Why is this so
Most important is
She was talking about marriage. And
most
not
important is
know
a JC teacher, right? So of course, like especially singles, right?
Okay.
So what happens is if most of the time, because you're inculcated with, okay, we want to reach 35, own our first HDB if we are not married before then. And so he waited, and at 35, he met and said, oh, I want to buy house already. I want to buy. But of course, I mentioned to you at that point of time that, hey, why don't you consider a private property? Because you have good income, you got good savings. And imagine if you had started your journey earlier. Let's say, actually when he was age 30, early 30s, he could have already made his first move and have his first role. Yeah. So these are all more of opportunity costs coming from the angle of certain mindsets that, maybe we have inherited from our family or friends around us. So I think it is okay to explore. Not say that you have to make the jump, but to be open to explore simulation of other form of frameworks or thought process, and you make an informed decision on which one is better for you.
Right. So in the end, did your JC teacher...
So instead of not, as in of course 35, cannot rewind back, right? So of course, he went for a private property instead.
After meeting
How
you,
big
seeking
did he
advice.
buy?
No, that one is-
No, is it a new launch or a resale?
Can link
They bought a new launch
Alexa
at
then
that
that two. teacher together. Hey.
How many years
That was
that?
many years ago.
How old is he now?
I cannot remember.
He still got chance, Alexa.
No, but I think what you pointed out is actually something that personally I feel in Singapore we talk about education. We do our PSLE, our O levels, our A levels. But how about financial literacy, investment? I think that's something that
It's
is
lacking.
missing in our education. Now, we have all these people who graduate with their top honors, degrees, and all this, go on to hold a stable job and all this. It's good. Nothing wrong with that. But if there's a chance for them to have a good investment opportunity, why are they not aware of it? It's a pity.
Nobody teach them.
But
They had to take the first step out.
But one of the
themselves.
angles wouldn't
Yeah.
it be if, let's say, everybody is very financial literate,
Yeah.
then the entire economy and the workforce system will fail.
Correct. So that's my conspiracy theory. No financial literacy, because if everyone's financially free, then no one wants to work.
Of course, the
guys, cut this out,
the
cut
other
this
more
out.
positive way to that is, okay, maybe now everybody will only
Want to be a
work in-
solopreneur.
Okay,
or
will
entrepreneur.
only work in something that really, is something that they're interested in. So it's more a pageantry, passion
I thought you
driven
said peasant-driven
passion.
system.
Sometimes, the words get...
No, but I think the free market will balance itself out, because even though
Not everyone's ability.
even though people might okay, let's say example, if everybody is financially literate, right, into investment and stuff like that, maybe everyone will think that, hey, then will there be, everybody wants to be entrepreneur, solopreneur, business owner, real estate agents, insurance agents, doing sales and all that. But actually, if you look at
Everyone
if you look at
temperaments lah.
this group of people, the Pareto principle is very competitive. It's 80-20. Like example, real estate agents, 90% fall out within the first year, which is why out of 34,000 agents, there are only 6,000 active agents. Yeah. So it's a very natural free market that some people will succeed, majority will fail.
Yeah, I think people with have their different risk level, their different temperaments on how they want to do with the money. It's just like you say, not every top student has to be a doctor. Everyone will go for what they like. So I don't think necessarily if it's financially everyone's secure and they're all educated, everyone will just boom, let's go and buy.
Yeah, but I think the financial literacy is good, because I think we even have a lot of clients that are working in full-time professional work, right? And because of discipline and having that financial literacy information, they actually are multiple property owners. And because they have the stability, in fact, they sort of superseded some self-employed clients that they are on a faster track because of stability. Okay, anyway, what I learned from this story about the JC teacher is that do not be naughty at class, because your teacher might be your future customer. Correct or not? How many teachers have you converted? One.
Your moral of the story is
That's correct.
very,
what?
very, very unique.
No, I need to tell my kids what, because my kids always get into trouble in school.
Like
my
father,
kid-
like
one of
son.
no. One of my kids just got a pink form.
What's a ping
What's a big
pong?
form?
Pink form
Detention
means detention and all that lah.
But for what?
No lah, he's in this
For buying
school.
Bitcoin in class.
No lah.
My daddy asked me to buy one. I need to make sure.
No,
the charts look good.
it's like there was a kid that bullied his friend, and then he stood up for his friend, And then he like
for good cause.
protected his friend, but somehow it's like ended up like everybody get a pink form. Okay.
That's a good reason for sending your kids to Taekwondo. I think good job. Now
they will go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, sorry. I mean similar, you know, like, I mean not similar. Okay, sorry. I mean for martial artists. Not similar as in similar, but you know, some self-defense.
Yeah, Ethan also goes for Jiu-Jitsu. I can play the clip here. Yeah. We'll start here at 4
He's so young, he does.
Yeah. Okay, look at this.
He fight the dog at home.
Look at this. What affects property prices? I've listed out the macro reasons. Macro reasons means that whether is it from macro point of view from Singapore or macro point of view from the world. But maybe everybody, let's list out all the micro factors that you think, okay, that means what are some of the things that are localized that will still cause price to move up or move down without influence from the macro kind of factors? What
population
increase. That's called
macro.
That's called mid macro lah. Okay, yeah. Population.
Supply.
Okay, supply. Okay, which is like GLS. Okay. What else? That means if I remove all this, right? What do you think are some of the things that will still cause price to like incrementally creep up? But actually, they're all related, right?
Yeah.
Sort of related, right? Okay, never mind. Just name a few. What do you think will still cause prices to move up?
Income increase.
Income increase. Okay, what else?
ABSD.
Policies. Okay, what else?
I'm not following your train of thought.
Just put all the answers here.
Transformation is it?
Yeah. Okay, I should put policy here lah. Okay, policies, right? Policies and population. Okay, I want to talk about this, right? And then pick all your brains is because like these are some of the things that contributes to micro increment in the pricing of a particular project or particular estate, right? Without this kind of influence, although most of them are still linked. But what is the impact of this? Like maybe let's talk about schools first, because this is like a very interesting thing, because every year there's going to be new P1 students. So there's going to be fresh demand into certain type of project. Okay, what has been like some of the top schools that you have always consistently heard about in your career in real estate? Like always when we meet buyers, it's always these few schools one.
Nan,
Nanyang,
Ai Tong,
St. Nicholas,
Catholic, Rosai.
Actually, for this one, right, I think the better example, right, is just to use ACS Barker now.
Okay, yeah, talk about that. What's happening?
Yeah, so I think with the Tengah flagship, the township, it was already very popular, always very oversubscribed. There were a lot of demand over there, and people always went in because of the pricing. Because of the pricing that I think the one of the few BTOs that was still quite conveniently located, new township, the price offered by HDB also made sense. Then
so
recently,
ACS Barker is confirm moving.
There's a petition going on lah. From
is it
what I heard.
Barker or International? There's two, right? Or
the ACS Primary.
ACS Primary. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
ACS Primary. Then from
so they're petitioning not to move.
Petitioning not to move
because they're scared that the price in Bukit Timah will drop.
Correct.
No, there are other schools.
I think there are other factors also, because they wanted to make it a co-ed school and everything.
Yeah.
Which is quite a big change, because once you made it
but anyway, ACS will run its time down until 2030. That means the last P1 batch will be 2029 or 2030. Then they'll continue on for the 6 years from there. Then move off.
Then they'll go to Tengah. That means all the private property owners from Bukit Timah will move to Tengah.
No lah.
Bukit Timah still got a lot of good schools. So
imagine all the private property owners move to Tengah.
Okay, so the interesting conversation here,
properties to buy.
The interesting conversation here is that referencing to having been near this sort of very popular school, a few of my friends who got the BTO Tengah plot, right, came up to ask me, normally if let's say I resell from HDB this Tengah BTO, maybe the pricing I can fetch 500, 600 for a 5-room, right? Possibly maybe 700. But now with ACS moving, you think I can fetch 1 million?
Your friend asked you that?
Yeah, and not just one, it was two.
So
one of them said 1 million, the other one said, do you think I can fetch higher prices because of this school?
So now they need to classify Tengah under the prime.
I mean, it's just
10 years MOP.
it's that mentality, right? That the new shape the buyers or sellers mentality to make you think that it's very positive. Then they get very excited.
But I have to say this is true because now even we have buyers who are looking at the area, right? One of their question is this near to the future?
ACS.
I mean, in their search.
What do you think the government want to move ACS there? What's the reason?
There were a whole bunch of reasons. Let the teacher say.
No, I think the demand for Tengah was not
strong enough.
High. There was still a lot of availability.
Not all the projects
I didn't know about that.
Correct.
badly performing.
Yeah.
There were some that were oversubscribed. Some, I think the bigger units were.
But also
popular.
because there was a lot of supply in the area at one go. So I think there was still a lot of
So
availability.
they need a boost.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
And give
Tengah
people
already
a
has
reason.
3 MRT stations there.
No, but I think if you read the recent news, I think some of the first Tengah residents have already moved into the BTO flats. So I think
and
people
the
were
aircon
saying
spoil,
about
right?
aircon spoil and accessibility, like I think it's
Centralized
15
aircon.
minutes to the nearest bus stop or something.
Right. I mean,
Because it's a new town.
lah.
It's a
like
new
Punggol in
town.
the
There
past,
will be
lah.
teething issues. And but you see Punggol in the past and now it's
Punggol in the past
thriving.
only got one bus going. It's very painful.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time thing. But now if they're going to have this school in place, it's like, ka-ching.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not a believer of micro factors.
Okay. What are you
Micro
believe
factors don't move investment pricing.
about? Okay.
Because all these factors are also in place. If you remember, what we call really the buyer's market that I've been through before was, remember it was in 2014, all the way until 2017 before like the en bloc. It's like price is so reasonable, right? But you don't have a lot of demand that wants to buy. And in that moment, right, can I say that we don't have transactions? We have transactions. The good schools are still there, but how come the price didn't improve when the good schools did? Most of them didn't move. Transactions are still there. You know, like if it's a popular project, it's a popular project because of its location attribute or because it's already big. BTO pricing, when it hits, right, it's not setting a new kind of record pricing. It's just like, we benchmark slightly above the youngest resale. Right. It's not like now it's like, wow, crazy like new benchmark kind of thing. New launches are actually not hitting record pricing. We are getting like 7%, 10% sales during launch day. The developers take 3 years to sell and then they need to like offer incentive of like, reissue options, which we eventually clamp down by URA and all that stuff. We still have transformation plan. I think the only thing that really move on the micro level is new MRT line that come up because it directly increases or like a new mall increases convenience, even though the macro factors didn't support price increase, but because there was a convenience improvement in that area, so there are some movement in terms of pricing. Yeah, so like I'm not too big a believer on micro factors. Like usually it's like the macro factors that dictate the pricing movement.
How about like when it comes to selection, like helping our clients to select, like Sebastian, what kind of micro factors do you take into account that have a higher chance to see appreciation?
Are we coming from the investment point of view or for the own stay point of view?
Maybe from a point of view that next time it's easier to exit.
Easier to exit.
Yeah, which are your favorite micro factor choices?
MRT. Same as you, Rong.
Right.
Yeah, because I think the one thing that people, when they buy houses, is for necessity. They have to use it for own.
Let me rephrase. What if like in future there's everywhere there's MRT, right?
Yeah.
Or let's say within an MRT your client but there's 6 projects there. What are some micro factors? Or maybe your client like 2 MRT stations.
Yeah.
Here got 5 projects, here got 4 projects. What are some other micro factors you usually look out for? To help them to select one.
Yeah. That I think if let's say we just to scope down, we already have the area, right? Then we scope down to which particular project we want to go in. Then there are a few micro factors pertaining to the project, like land density, the size of the land, the number of units, whether it's maybe near expressway or things like that. Right. But I think a lot of people have the idea that or rather maybe I rephrase a bit. I think there's the idea that mega projects will have a lot of facilities. I have had clients who don't like mega projects because they've went to mega projects and seen the units and they've seen the facilities being very overcrowded also. So there's just some concern on depending on your own preference. Some people like the offering of all the facilities, but some people prefer like, maybe I go for a smaller development. The facilities, lesser people, I feel more premium. It is more luxe for me. So these are some of the micro factors in terms of the buyer's preferences and their own likes and dislikes.
Okay, what is your personal preference for micro factors? Let's say if you were to buy something today with a plan to exit in future, easier exit. That means like you won't face much difficulty, and also like there's a higher chance of like appreciation. What's your own personal
I would like to go for, let's say you go for Red Hill. You will want to go for the one that
Most red one. Must be the most red.
faces the unblocked facing one. Because at Red Hill, there are, I think, 3 facings.
Okay.
Right. One is towards Bukit Timah Hill area. The other one, Bukit Javos, Bukit Timah area. The other one facing towards the MRT track, but further down, you see almost the Greater Southern Waterfront. Then there's a third one, which is in between the road. I forgot what's the road name called. You face each other. It's the internal facing one. I think it's Atra facing Echelon and Ascendia Sky. Then you have Alex looking at Echelon. Like, you know, the internal road one, and it's a 2-lane road only. But the houses there are all 40 stories high.
So you sort of like see each other very
correct,
closely.
yeah. And the projects there are all very popular in its own attributes. But I personally think that the ones that are facing exterior, or rather the ones facing Javos, is a lot more popular. Because of how the view is. So buying a house, although it is a financial transaction, it is also an emotional
connection.
Yeah, connection.
Right.
I think the older generation like to say it's not 人选价, it's 那个价选人.
Oh my god, I'm the older generation.
Yeah, so sometimes when you serve the clients, they will have all these thoughts in their own mind.
Okay.
Right, we come in from a very technical and professional point of view. Yeah, you should face this way because it's unblocked facing and it's better ventilation. Then I tell you, oh yeah, 因为那个景比较美.
I just thought of something funny. You say like the 家选人, right? I'm like thinking, oh, you want to go into the house, right? Then cannot go in.
It's like the Harry Potter, the sorting hat.
这还是不要买比较好。
So there's an emotional factor where they connect with the house.
Correct.
And then sometimes I think the emotional factor helps you to exit because it's easier to find someone that can see it in the same manner.
Oh, so you like to do stack analysis?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Great. Alexa, how about you?
For me, I think a bit of emotional, but also because I'm in this industry. So when I'm looking for my own place, I will definitely also look at all these kind of things. Yeah.
What is like some of your must have, like top 3?
Must be corner.
Okay.
Must be corner and must be in a less densely populated area. I am quite, despite my loud voice and despite everyone's belief, I'm actually an introvert, okay? So, not because people keep thinking I'm an extrovert, I like hanging with people. That's not true. So I like quiet, I like privacy.
Alexa on the go. Learn a lot about Alexa.
I need to clear up the misconceptions, right? Just because you're a loud voice doesn't mean that you're a party animal. I'm just born with the loud voice. Yeah, so I think being quite convenient is also one thing. I think near to MRT is important. It will be good if there is like amenities around as well, because I realize that I can be quite lazy. So if everything is just within reach, like just downstairs, I love that. Yeah.
You want the MRT to go out to outside your house and open the door?
No, like, you know, like some you have to take like take bus 3 stops away. I mean, to be honest, that's how I lived growing up. It wasn't that bad. I mean, from my house last time, I have to take bus 10 minutes to Bishan, nearest MRT. So that was not that bad. But when Thomson MRT line came out, it was just 2 stops down. I was like, oh my god, life has improved so greatly. Yeah, I mean, it's so to me now, like, you know, Melvin, you said there's MRT popping out almost on every corner of the island.
Yeah, so in future, how do people choose? Is like,
if why would I choose a place that has no MRT?
Okay,
how people choose.
So let's say all has MRT already, right?
Yeah, correct.
Which MRT will people choose? Or what are other factors other than MRT?
I will go for underground MRT because less noise.
I will choose based on...
I mean, it's a very practical thing.
I'll choose based on whether the MRT have got interchange. So like those have like interchange line that will be a bit more popular. And also we need to look at in the future, right? How is our workforce and CBD going to be distributed? So lines that are attributed to have more traffic flow to the city, we assume that it's still going to be green line, red line. So it has always been my favorite line so far. I mean, green is my most favorite.
Right.
Yeah. So because of the keynotes of like working culture around like Changi, CBD area, like Paya Lebar, we have like your Buona Vista area, like Science Park area. We have we also have like your second CBD and all that. Just know that additional lines are always add-on lines to make it more convenient to get to the primary lines. So my belief is that the primary lines often already probably have the keynotes. Unless you're talking about in the future, there are a lot more density in terms of keynotes that will change, then that could affect my decision on which is a better MRT line. But like I mentioned, I firm believer of macro factors first. And because there are macro factors, and hence there is growth potential in the market. Because there's growth potential in the market, then I will be able to use micro selection factors. Because if there are totally no macro factors, it is unlikely to have much price growth. And hence, I'm not saying that micro factors are not important. Macro factors are important because there are macro factors that are going to pop up.
So I'm curious, when you're talking about these factors, you're talking this in a perspective of I'm picking for my client, right?
Yeah.
Then yourself,
Investment? As in, I always see from a more like more investment.
But obviously, when I'm
angle.
picking a home for myself, it's a bit different than picking for a client who wants to appreciate all this. I mean, own stay, of course, I want quiet, I want corner, I want all this. I don't take into consideration so
There's
much.
a lot of preference factors.
Yes, there's a lot of preference factors, I guess. But from what you're speaking, I understand where you're coming from. You're talking about how much growth and investment. But personally, from a personal factor, no interest to me at all. So I guess for...
Unless it's your investment property.
Yeah. Okay,
correct.
so this is very common usually for own stay buyers or that's the reason why when they come in, let's say, they'll consult with me, they have their own preferences. But I'll just share with them more a little bit on like the purpose of building a portfolio. So I share with them at the end of the day, right? The conclusion will be this. Either after the consult, right, because you understand how properties can be a different asset vehicle for you, right? And the person's mind reframe after the session, and they now look at properties, right? And they say, hey, actually, I think like because not all properties have investment attributes that can at least help me to have good preservation of my hard-earned money. Right? Then actually I think I'm okay to be open to other forms of I don't need to be so fixated on like, okay, I need a certain floor level, I need a certain face, I need a certain location. They become more open. Or they understand that, yeah, I totally understand that, but I really have no interest in it. At least they go in with an open mind. So that, because a lot of buyers, right, they think that all properties will make money, right? But then I just buy based on my preference, it will also appreciate anyway. So why do I need to? But I just select based on my own criteria. But at least they know that, based on all these case studies, past track record, buildings that you like, this has been the performance. So if you're okay that staying at where you super like 100% and this is the performance of the property in terms of prices and you're okay with that, then at least they know that they make a very informed decision. Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask you all like one final question, right? Is that if let's say you are in another country now, which is the most important macro factor? I mean, if I remove QE and QT, if you're in another country that's super huge and supply is always increasing, how would you survive as a property investor? Let's say you're not in Singapore, because in Singapore, I think sometimes like we really take things for granted. It's like our land is so scarce. Our government has already pre-planned population increase, and I think population is a super huge factor. Without population increment means that we're not attracting talents and people and expatriates, and maybe our country is not safe and stuff like that, right? So if you're in a huge country, how would you survive as a property investor? Like what would be the best factor?
Under the macro factor.
Yeah, but let's say macro is dead because there are just like so many new launches every time. You just keep building and building and building non-stop. How would you survive?
I will come from the angle of like population is the most important to me in terms of like the different city or towns. I want to be densely populated. I want to be in a place where people travel in to work one. Because for me is that like if there's going to be a lot of supply, number one, I would have the strategy. I assume that my pricing is not going to grow. And so I just want this to be a golden goose kind of mechanism. I'm going to let rental pay down my mortgage and I own a debt-free asset. So eventually, even if the price doesn't go up, my rental, I'm already using other people's money to pay down my loan, and I can keep recycling this. So as long as I need to have a place where there's a strong engine of population, workforce and all that, so it drives this engine for me. So,
which is a very different engine from Singapore, right? Because Singapore is like most of the rental sometimes cannot cover your installment. But let's say overseas, asset prices are lower, but rental will be one of the main determiner of investment factor, right?
Actually, this is a... sorry.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
No, because I think this is a very common thing is that in the sense, right, where usually when we see that prices don't really go up, but then there's a lot of view play, right? It's most of the time, right? Most of the time, this is more like a investor play kind of location. So hence, there are not a lot of own usage people to really drive up the pricing. But in Singapore, where there are a lot of own usage, right? For example, landed property. People always ask me, how come like shop houses, landed properties, the yield is so low?
Yeah.
It's because, right, the own stay drivers to want to own it is more than renting it, right? So that's why they can prop the pricing up, because the rental demand is not so high. So in return, the yield curve isn't as high. So like this usually represents, like something where like the asset, it is more like desired to be owned. So I think like, for example, US, we have a lot more like rental play.
US, Japan, 50% tenants, and a lot of the tenants are actually Japanese themselves. Yeah, travel to global, I mean like the major cities, Tokyo and all that. Sebastian, how would you survive as a property investor in a huge country? How would you
even
invest?
decide the country in the first place, right? I think
Cannot talk about a country.
A bit sensitive.
Just a big country lah.
I would think, okay, since Rong already covered the population, I think that is one thing. I think that will be a major factor in the consideration. But the other thing will be, I think, policies of the country. Whether me as an investor, am I protected enough? Is my investment protected enough? Is it too low? Oh, okay.
Were you gesturing towards him?
Yeah. Whether it is a safe environment to invest in. That being said, I mean, we've seen property prices in certain countries that are not so protected, and price went out of hand and then caused sort of not very palatable market to enter also. Even though you can go into something like that, the rental is very strong, but the entry barrier is very, very high. Then does it justify you entering into something like that where the rental, does it cover the yield, whether the percentage of yield from what you're investing in makes sense in the first place? Yeah.
Right. Final question, Alexa. Thanks, Sebastian.
Yes.
Would you rather be a property investor in Singapore or a huge country?
Depending.
endless supply.
Okay, once again, I think it depends what is a huge country. I mean, just now when you were asking the question, I think first thing definitely, I thought that population was important, because nowadays you look at Japan, there's a lot of houses being abandoned, sold for $1 because people have basically left all
the ghost towns.
Yeah, all the ghost towns. And I think that's one thing I don't think Singapore will have, because we are small and lacking of land. The other thing I think is the political climate and stability. And like Sebastian rightly pointed out, the policies. If I buy a house, can I ensure that no one will break into it and trash my place while I am investing from overseas? I think these are all important points. So rather than saying that it's a large country, I think there are many factors before I make my decision to putting my money there. Because it's not a place where I can go and visit the property frequently. So I definitely want to make sure that there's at least some factors that makes me assured inside that my money is in a place that it won't suddenly one day just, go up in
vaporize.
Vaporize.
Policies are important. I think like some of the key elements in the pre-era of price growth in Singapore, it is because a lot of policy changes that price went up also. Like we allow, like CPF to be used to, like finance that properties, and prices went up. We allow foreigners to buy Singapore properties, also prices also went up. So like sometimes, when you open up to have like more demand, either through, like foreigners coming in, or whether is it increasing demand internally because it's easier to finance, like loans are easier to leverage. All this will be the kind of like policies that I will be very interested in regards from a macro standpoint.
Yeah, I mean the safety kind of factors for investors to feel safe to put their money in the country, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's about 1 hour, 30 minutes. I think we had a good session here. We're going to end the session today, and we'll see you on the next NOTG banter. Of course, the next round, we haven't decided who wants to come back. Alexa, do you want to come back on the next round?
I think Jolene wants to come back.
Jolene wants to come in.
She's going to kill me.
Sure. Sebastian, do you want to come back for the next round?
Sure.
All right.
It's nice talking to you.
Awesome.
Always nice talking to you.
Awesome. All right. See you guys. Take care.
Bye. Okay, you need to record intro.
No need.
Then as in okay, today we're talking about the 3 talking points.
It's okay. We've moved on.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.